Shabbat Shalom. Good morning, YouTube. Today we are again reading out of our Bible. I am using a translation called The Scriptures. Please feel free to use whatever version you have, but please read along. Don't take my word for it. Don't take anyone's word for it. So grab your coffee, grab your Bible, and let's read. Today we are starting in Deuteronomy chapter 13. When there arises among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and he shall give you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder shall come true, of which he has spoken to you, saying, Let us go after other mighty ones, which you have not known, and serve them. Do not listen to the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams. For Yahweh your Elohim is trying you to know whether you love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart and with all your being. Walk after Yahweh your Elohim and fear him, and guard his commands and obey his voice, and serve him and cling to him. And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams is put to death because he has spoken apostasy against Yahweh your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim and ransomed you from the house of bondage, to make you stray from the way in which Yahweh your Elohim commanded you to walk. Thus you shall purge the evil from your midst, when your brother, the son of your mother, or the son of your daughter, or the wife of your bosom, or your friend who is as your own being, entices you secretly, saying, Let us go and serve other mighty ones, which you have not known, neither you nor your fathers, of the mighty ones of the people which are all around you, near to you or far off from you, from one end of the earth to the other end of the earth. Do not agree with him or listen to him, nor shall your eye pardon him, nor spare him or conceal him. But you shall certainly kill him. Your hand is first against him to put him to death, and afterward the hand of all the people. And you shall stone him with stones until he dies, because he sought to entice you away from Yahweh, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim from the house of bondage. And let all Israel hear and fear, and not again do any such evil matter as this in your midst. When you hear someone in one of your cities, which Yahweh your Elohim gives you to dwell in, saying, Some men, sons of Belial, have gone out of your midst and led the inhabitants of their city astray, saying, Let us go and serve other mighty ones whom you have not known. Then you shall inquire, search out, and ask diligently, and see if the matter is true, and establish that this abomination was done in your midst. You shall certainly strike the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, putting it under the ban, and all that is in its livestock with the edge of the sword, and gather all its plunder into the middle of the street, and completely burn with fire the city and all its plunder before Yahweh your Elohim. And it shall be a heap forever, never to be built again. And none of that which is put under the ban is to cling to your hand, so that Yahweh turns from the fierceness of his displeasure, and shall show you compassion, love you, and increase you, as he swore to your fathers. When you obey the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to guard all his commands which I command you today, to do what is right in the eyes of Yahweh your Elohim. There's an entire chapter to say, don't worship other gods. Chapter 14. You are the children of Yahweh your Elohim. Do not cut yourselves, nor shave the front of your head for the dead. For you are a set-apart people to Yahweh your Elohim. And Yahweh has chosen you to be a people for himself, a treasured possession above all the peoples who are on the face of the earth. Do not eat whatever is abominable. These are the living creatures which you do eat: ox, sheep, and goat, deer and gazelle, and roebuck, and wild goat, and mountain goat, and antelope, and mountain sheep, and every beast that has a split hoof divided in two, chewing the cud, among the beasts you do eat. But of those chewing the cud, or those having a split hoof completely divided, you do not eat, such as these: the camel and the hare, and the rabbit, for they chew the cud, but do not have a split hoof. They are unclean for you. And the pig is unclean for you, because it has a split hoof, but does not chew the cud. You do not eat their flesh, or touch their dead carcasses. These you do eat of all that are in the waters. All that have fins and scales you do eat. And whatever does not have fins and scales you do not eat. It is unclean for you. Any clean bird you do eat, but these you do not eat: the eagle, the vulture, and the black vulture, and the red kite, and the falcon, and the buzzard after their kinds, and every raven after its kind, and the ostrich, and the nighthawk, and the seagull, and the hawk after their kinds, the little owl, the great owl, and the white owl, and the pelican, and the carrion vulture, and the fisher owl, and the stork, and the heron after its kind, and the hoopoe, and the bat. And every creeping insect that flies is unclean for you. They are not eaten. Any clean bird you do eat. Do not eat whatever dies of itself. Give it to the sojourner who is within your gates to eat it, or sell it to a foreigner. For you are a set-apart people to Yahweh your Elohim. Do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. You shall tithe without fail all the yield of your grain that the fields bring forth year by year. And you shall eat before Yahweh your Elohim in the place where he chooses to make his name dwell. The tithe of your grain and your new wine and your oil, and of the firstlings of your herds and of your sheep, so that you learn to fear Yahweh your Elohim always. But when the way is too long for you, so that you are not able to bring the tithe, or when the place where Yahweh your Elohim chooses to put his name is too far from you, when Yahweh your Elohim is blessing you, then you shall give it in silver, and shall take the silver in your hand, and go to the place which Yahweh your Elohim chooses. And you shall use the silver for whatever your being desires, for cattle or sheep, for wine or strong drink, for whatever your being desires. And you shall eat there before Yahweh your Elohim, and you shall rejoice, you and your household. And do not forsake the Levite who is within your gates, for he has no part nor inheritance with you. At the end of every 3rd year you bring out all the tithe of your increase of the year, and store it up within your gates. And the Levite, because he has no portion nor inheritance with you, and the sojourner and the fatherless and the widow who are within your gates shall come and eat and be satisfied, so that Yahweh your Elohim does bless you in all the work of your hand which you do. So, we are repeating the dietary laws, and also pointing out that you're supposed to give to the poor, the travelers, the orphans, the widows, the people that don't have the typical family structure. You're supposed to help them. Chapter 15. At the end of every 7 years, you make a release of debts. And this is the word of the release. Every creditor is to release what he has loaned to his neighbor. He does not require it of his neighbor or his brother, because it is called the release of Yahweh. Of a foreigner you could require it, but your hand is to release whatever is owed by your brother. Only there should be no poor among you. For Yahweh does greatly bless you in the land which Yahweh, your Elohim, is giving you to possess as an inheritance. Only if you diligently obey the voice of Yahweh your Elohim to guard to do all these commands which I am commanding you today. For Yahweh your Elohim shall bless you as he promised you, and you shall lend to many nations, but you shall not borrow. And you shall rule over many nations, but they do not rule over you. When there is a poor man with you, one of your brothers, within any of the gates in your land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you, do not harden your heart nor shut your hand from your poor brother. For you shall certainly open your hand to him, and certainly lend him enough for his need, whatever he needs. Be on guard, lest there be a thought of Belial in your heart, saying, the 7th year, the year of release is near, and your eye is evil against your poor brother, and you give him not. And he shall cry out to Yahweh against you, and it shall be a sin in you. You shall certainly give to him, and your heart should not be grieved when you give to him, because for this reason Yahweh your Elohim does bless you in all your works, and in all to which you put your hand. Because the poor one does not cease from the land. Therefore I am commanding you, saying, you shall certainly open your hand to your brother, to your poor, and to your needy one in your land. When your brother is sold to you, a Hebrew man or a Hebrew woman, and shall serve you 6 years, then let him go free from you in the 7th year. And when you send him away free from you, let him not go away empty-handed. You shall richly supply him from your flock, and from your threshing floor, and from your winepress. With that which Yahweh has blessed you with, give to him. And you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Mitzrayim, and Yahweh your Elohim ransomed you. Therefore I am commanding you this word today. And it shall be, when he says to you, I do not go away from you, because he loves you and your house, because it is good for him with you. Then you shall take an awl and thrust it through his ear to the door, and he shall be your servant forever. Do the same to your female servant. Let it not be hard in your eyes when you send him away free from you, for he has been worth a double hired servant in serving you 6 years. And Yahweh your Elohim shall bless you in all that you do. Set apart to Yahweh your Elohim all the firstborn males that come from your herd and your flock. Do not work with the firstborn of your herd, nor shear the firstborn of your flock. You and your household are to eat it before Yahweh your Elohim year by year in the place which Yahweh chooses. But when there is any defect in it, lame or blind, it has an evil defect, do not slaughter it to Yahweh your Elohim. Eat it within your gates, the unclean and the clean alike, as the gazelle and as the deer. Only do not eat its blood, pour it on the ground like water. So, if you were a slave and a Hebrew, you were supposed to be released after 7 years of service. And given whatever you have a good bounty of, whatever you've been blessed with, that you're supposed to send with the slave. But they also have the choice to stay your servant if they want to. But then it's forever. I always found that interesting. You're supposed to take care of your brothers and sisters. The Father says he's not getting rid of the poor. There will still be needy. There will still be orphans. There will still be widows, people that need to take care of. And it's kind of like, this is your test, is your heart full enough to share with those who need it and not greedy? Well, that is the end of the reading for today. Thanks for coming along with me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and join us again next Saturday. May the Father bless you. Shalom.